G'day, g'day, g'day. It's Mathematical KM or Keith Malumbi. Their initials, not a title. Round 4 of the Doeberl Cup in Canberra. And bringing a water horse or a hippopotamus defence to every round with white and black. On that, we've got a code for 30% off for the course from Solomon Ruddell, the chess giant. And well worth watching his YouTube vids and getting that course. The 30% off is until the end of April. That's the link and details in the description. Okay, so this is round 4, and it's very much about continuing the fight after making a little bit of a blue and making stuff a little more complex as you can afterwards. So we've started off with fianchettoed, black's getting the middle, so far so good. One knight comes out, the other knight comes out, so it's going to be a 2-pawn centre. If you've been watching my videos, this is, unless something a bit strange happens, we can pretty much go all the way to the breather moment. And here we are, the breather moment. We've got the full thick-skinned hippo. And we've got to take a look at what we see in front of us. And we have... that's not on. That's a possibility. That would give us 2 on this pawn, which currently has 2. And then, of course, if it suits, you can bring another knight in to give you a 3rd piece on that pawn, versing the 2 there. We don't usually play either of these, except in response to black pushing. That is not on because we would just lose our e-pawn. And this one, on the king side, the pawn, g-pawn forward, usually only played when we get a tempo. And knight f3 here is the other one to look at. It's actually the second best choice according to the engine, and that gives us a 2nd piece on this pawn. This pawn's also protected by 2 pieces. But from there is a bit more scope for that knight to go out and about. And here we go. Let's see. I've taken the choice. It's the 2nd best. So now we've got 2 pieces homing in on that one. And if he takes me, I intend to... it's not a bad little outpost for the knight. And from there, the knight's putting pressure on the other pawn. Bit of a nothing move. The queen coming forward there. I suppose it is putting it on this diagonal, and he may be thinking about getting his bishop behind it, but even then I've got 2 pieces on that pawn. Rook c1, getting another piece behind. Rook c1's in there twice. Castling's in there. You'll note that what you're not seeing is that, because whilst it does give a 3rd piece on that pawn, if black pushes forward, because of that bishop being in the unusual place, and I was unable to kick that bishop away earlier, that will mean that black has got 2 pieces on my e-pawn, and I've only got the 1 defender. And that would be not good, and that's a thought I did not have during the game. And I've played it. You can see the eval goes out to pretty much minus 1.9, and that's with playing d4. Anything else, and it's about where you'd expect it. But he's played it. He's found the good move, and from this point onwards, it's... well, you see where we end up at the end, but this is kicking, screaming, and struggling to make it a little more tricky. So now he's got 2 pieces attacking my e-pawn. So there's a good try, first try. Now I've got the knight and the pawn. I have 2 pieces protecting my pawn. And he gets rid of one of the two. Obviously I have to take back. But now we're back to the situation where black has got 2 pieces on the pawn. And he takes. Now this is, I chose I could take with the pawn first, have the bishop come in and then move the knight, which is actually what the computer's calling for. But knight e4, second best, is nearly a whole pawn behind that. The one advantage it does have is it's threatening the bishop, and it's getting a knight into a decent sort of a position. So I play that, he takes. Likes king f1 the most. Interesting, but we're out to -3 here. So my opponent has pounced on that error, moving that knight in, which allowed I wouldn't quite call it a fork, but definitely to win that pawn. So I've come back and taken with that knight. He's taken with the bishop. And it's pretty much, even though I'm not a whole piece down, only 1 point difference in material, it is -2.9 in the eval. So let's see how we can kick and scream from here. Got a check. I don't think that was the wisest check, because with basically equal material but with bad activity, getting the queens off I think works for me, and I came back with the bishop rather than moving the king forward. The computer wants that king forward, getting that king active. I don't think we're quite in the end game that much, and my king's just starting to feel a little bit, safer with pawn bishop in front of him there. And the evals come to -2 from the -3. He's protected his bishop with that rook, which means he might like to move that knight. So the knight wants to move and be able to swap off the bishops. I thought, let's get rook on that pawn, and that way I have got 2 pieces on this pawn. He's only got 2, but he wants to move the knight. If he moves the knight, he won't have 2 anymore. Yes, he will. Good move. He's backed it up with an f-pawn. I decided to centralise my other rook, starting to get a little bit of combobulation, as the opposite of discombobulation. My pieces are starting to relate to each other a little, and we are to -0.9, remembering we were at -3. Okay, the knight has gone. -0.3, or it's still thinking, -0.25 if I get those bishops off. And I chose not to, foolishly, but I did put my bishop to kind of a nice-ish outpost. He can't move the f-pawn forward. And I was thinking, should he take the bishops off himself, then my D rook might be able to think about getting to rooks on f7. But now he's going to fight me for the file. Now, really, I woulda, shoulda, coulda put my king on e2, not e3, because very soon you're going to see me wasting a second tempo pulling it back down. Because I'm going to want to try and double my rooks, and with the king on 2, I'd be able to move that rook forward and that rook across and then fight for that. But if I do get my rook to the 7th rank and want to move it across, the king has got to be protecting the rook that's on d1, which it isn't where it is. So that was a little bit of a minor mistake. You know, here comes his king. There we are. So that's the first one. His king comes in. Maybe not the right way. We're at minus 1.7. Okay, so I've doubled my rooks. You see, I'm not ready to play to d7 yet because my rook on d1 would need to be protected by my king. So I'm another whole move away, which is a shame because otherwise I would have been able to go in a move earlier. Now I can go. But because I lost that tempo, he comes and takes a set of the rooks off. He brings a rook forward. And at this point, a rook and a bishop versus a rook and a knight. And I'm thinking I made the right call, and a knight is a bit more useful than a bishop in these situations. It is nice that most of his pawns are on dark squares, same as my bishop, and that we do still have a set of rooks. And I was thinking about trying to get one of my A, B or C pawns through by using the bishop and my rook's not too far. I'd have some hope. There's, chances. He's not seeing a way through for his king here. The rooks are not likely to get through. But long story short, it was far worse. And we got to this point and perhaps my opponent could have kept cracking. But it was at this point that he offered the draw. The game had been going for a while, and you can bet I said yes, thank you. So that was kicking, screaming and continuing to fight after making a little bit of a blunder in the early middle game, which I will try not to do again. It's a typical hippo tactic, swinging the knight in behind that pawn, but it's just that little bit different when the pawn advance has got a bishop backing it up, giving two pieces onto one of your pawns that's only got the one piece defending it. So that's a lesson for next time. And it was a nice game, friendly opponent, and that is round 4 for the draw. Bye for now.